Hi first graders, it's Mrs. Pennell. I am going to walk you through drawing a chameleon today, and as we're going through this drawing, I want you to use your watching skills or your observational skills and look at what is happening in the drawing. And I want you to use your listening skills and listen to what I'm talking about as I'm going through the drawing. And then I just want you to try your very best, which is what I always expect, and I know you guys are gonna do amazing work. So thanks for doing your best like always. Before we do anything, I want to show you the other side of my paper. I am using something that I like to call goose paper. I did not come up with that name, but it stands for good on one side. While we're on the back of our paper, I want for you to practice some drawing lines with me. When we draw, sometimes we like to push really hard. And if you feel that if you push really hard and draw those lines, it dents your paper, it pushes your paper in. That's really hard to erase. What I like to do is I like to draw lines that I can barely even see. I like to call them feather lines. If I were drawing with a feather, the lines would be so light you could hardly even see them. So I want you to practice drawing just a few feather lines. Notice I didn't draw all over the whole paper. I just drew a few little feather light lines to get my hand ready for drawing those nice light lines right here. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna flip our paper over. I like to make sure my name stays at the bottom, so I flip it sideways like that. And we're going to draw some guidelines before we get started with actually drawing our chameleon. And we're going to have to draw these super light. So we're going to start. I'm just getting my hand ready for the feeling of drawing a circle. And then I'm going to gently, I had to turn my pencil over, my pencil's not very sharp, gently draw a circle. Now, I don't know if you can see that super well. It's not a perfect circle, but I definitely tried my best. This is going to be the guideline for where my chameleon's head is going to be. So if you made your circle teeny tiny, you might want to make it a little bit bigger because this is going to be the size of your chameleon's head. Now we're going to press a little bit harder for the next lines. We're going to make something called a diagonal line, and it's going to go up and it's going to almost touch the back of that circle. And a diagonal line is kind of like a slide down line. It's not laying totally flat this way. It's not going totally vertical this way. We're going to make a little bit of a curved line that connects to it. And you might notice I am pushing a little harder because I want these lines to show up. But if I try to erase these, they probably aren't going to erase very well. So be mindful of that. I've got my diagonal line, my curved line, and now I'm going to go into another diagonal line that goes up toward the top above my chameleon's head. This is for like the top. Cammy the chameleon has almost like a triangle shape at the top of her head. We're going to create that shape right now. So you might notice I drew that one a little bit lighter. I'm going to go back over and make it dark now. As I'm going through this, I can tell I'm talking a little bit fast, so that might mean I'm drawing a little bit fast. If it's too fast for you, all you have to do is push pause, and you can draw what you need to do, and then you can push play and follow along when you're ready. Next, we're going to do another curved line. Chameleons, since they're animals, they have a lot of organic lines, and organic lines are curved lines that show kind of the shapes of nature. So I made another, it's kind of like a diagonal line with a curve at the end, and we're going to make our chameleon's forehead right here at the end of the circle, which is, again, another curved line. For the chameleon's mouth, we're going to make a curve the opposite direction, kind of like this, and we're going to make a little bitty curve like that, and I'm just connecting it all together to make it look complete. Finally, one more diagonal line. It's not going to connect to this line, it's going to come just a little bit below it. So I'm going to put a little dot right there to tell me where I'm headed. And like that. There we go. So what I'm going to do next is we're going to add the chameleon's leg. We're going to do the front leg. And the front leg, we want it to start right about here. This is going to be where the shoulder happens. So I'm going to draw a very light line coming down, and I'm going to make this kind of a cartoony chameleon. We're going to draw the feet down here, and I like to draw my chameleon's feet with one little bump on this side and a little bump on this side to where it looks like it's pinching the branch. Chameleons in real life actually have 3 toes on one side and 2 toes on the other side where they kind of grip branches and things. But since mine's kind of a cartoony chameleon, I like to draw just this sort of shape for mine. So next, what we're going to do is add the chameleon's legs, the other side of the chameleon's legs. So we're going to go back up and out, and that way our chameleon has the rest of his leg ready to go. Now, we're also going to draw the chameleon's back, and the chameleon's back is, again, another curved line. We have lots of curves going on in our chameleon today. We're going to make a curved line for the knee. This is like the chameleon's back knee. And then we're going to make the little back foot similar to how we made the front one. We're going to make the back side of the leg just like that, so it looks like the chameleon's knee is bent a little bit. Chameleons have a cute little curly tail, so we're going to do a nice little spiral line. And we don't have to trace all the way into that, but what we can do is come around the back side right here like this. We're going to connect to the chameleon's leg, the bottom part that came up on the side there. And we're going to add the chameleon's tummy, just like this. And finally, we need to make our chameleon the legs for the other side, but we can't see the whole other side of our chameleon, so we're going to have to do something called overlapping. So I'm going to kind of repeat the line that I just drew right there, and I'm going to repeat my chameleon's toes, except for this one's going to look like it's going a little bit behind that one, like that. And then I'm going to do something similar up here. I'm just going to make the chameleon's toes go behind like that. Okay, so it looks like it's behind the other one because I did something called overlapping, and I made it look like my chameleon's toes are behind his other toes. His right toes are behind his left toes. Now, this is a happy chameleon, so we're going to make our chameleon have a curved line. Again, I know, more curved lines, huh? I like to put the little cheek right there as well. And then our chameleons are going to have great big eyes with 3 circles. Now, the trickiest part of this is you're not coloring in the middle circle. That's kind of the highlight part. You're actually coloring in the middle circle. Or I guess it's the second circle that you drew instead of the last circle. So this is one way to draw a chameleon. I made that circle line to represent the head at the beginning, and I can still see it. So I'm going to erase it because I made that feather light. It's going to go away. If yours doesn't go away completely, I bet we're going to go ahead and color these, so it's going to be all right. Now at this point in time, if you want to add some details to your chameleon, like maybe you want your chameleon standing on a branch, you could do that. So we're going to use that overlapping skill, drawing skill again, where we're making our chameleon look like it's standing on the branch because I made this branch up here go behind the chameleon. I'm going to make some a leaf for my chameleon as well. Make it look like it's actually on a tree branch, like that. Oops, that one went off the paper, and that is okay, no big deal. Now, since we've got our drawing finished, something that I like to do is I usually like to trace in marker. I'm going to use a Sharpie to trace, and I'm going to put actually another piece of my goose paper, my good on one side paper that somebody was going to recycle. I'm going to put that under because Sharpie can go through, and we do not want to get Sharpie on our nice new surfaces. If you're not using a Sharpie, it's still a good idea to use a messy mat or a piece of goose paper or something like that to protect your surface. So my rule about coloring with markers and Sharpies is that we color small areas because markers and Sharpies can run out really quickly, but we're going to just trace right on top of those lines that we drew. So boys and girls, I started my time-lapse videos and you might have noticed that the angle changed a little bit. It is okay if you move your paper around to draw different ways if that works best for you. I am going to talk a little bit about coloring. When I color in small areas, I like to outline the area first with my color and then use little wiggles that go all the same way to fill it in. I'm not coloring a whole bunch of different directions. So I like to outline first and then use little wiggles to fill it in. Outline first, little wiggles to fill it in. The outlining, especially even when you have bigger areas to fill in, it can kind of help you stay in the lines. When you get smaller areas like this, it's kind of hard to outline. You end up filling in the space anyway. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about with that. I'll show you on this leaf here too. When I outline, I like to go all the way around, and I plan to color this one. Actually, I'm going to do coloring toward the inside of this leaf. So while I said make it all go the same way, I have a plan for this one. It's going two different ways, but that's because this is the shape of my leaf. So I'm gonna mix some colors a little bit. I started with green and I'm gonna put some yellow over that green and make the center of my leaf a little bit more yellow. And you'll notice as I'm coloring, it's smearing the green a little bit. I'm actually going to take my green and color back over that a little bit lightly, and it's gonna mix those colors together and make a yellow green. So it looks like the leaf has some changing colors to it. It's just a little quick technique that you can use if you don't want to color things all the same color. Okay, first graders, I want to talk to you about the last couple of changes that I made or I'm going to make to my drawing. I put my name on the front in marker, and I also put the year 2019 because we are artists and we want to write our name on the front of our artwork like artists as well. Remember, my name is on the back because if I were to not finish this, I would still be able to tell whose it was if it got lost on the floor or something. Notice you can see the marker coming through the back side of the paper. That's why we use our goose paper or a messy mat or an extra piece of scrap paper to draw on. Finally, I noticed I forgot one important detail about our sweet little chameleons here. We need to add a little nostril so they can breathe out of their nose when they're trying to catch their flies and things. So I just used another little, forgive me for saying curved line again, but another little curved line to my chameleon, and there it is. So I hope your chameleon is exactly the way you want it to be. I hope that you learned through this process, and I hope that when you're adding your colors and things like that, you're being mindful, you're taking your time, and you're making it your own. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.